As we sort of look into the longer term, clearly climate change is an issue. Scientists have been predicting extreme weather events and more of them, and that's been happening. As you all know, last year we had atmospheric floods, right? Atmospheric rivers causing these floods. Now we have these wildfires. Something else we need to think about is insurance reform. A number of these areas will no longer be insurable. What do you do with that? How do we sort of fix that? Some legislation we're looking at, working with Congressman Laura Friedman as well. The National Flood Insurance Program, and when you look at the flood issues, the government actually has a buyback program because the U.S. government has smartly realized that areas that get, for instance, that constantly get flooded, much easier, and you save money, just buy back those properties instead of continuing to make huge payouts. So maybe we should look at that for wildfire-prone zones as well. And then the last thing I want folks to understand is, unfortunately, Speaker Johnson and some members of the Republican caucus have been saying outrageous things, such as conditioning disaster aid or tying disaster aid to the debt ceiling. And I want you to know we are fighting back hard. All the Democrats are opposed to linking disaster aid to anything else, because when Mother Nature strikes, she doesn't care about your party affiliation or where you live. And we're all Americans at the end of the day, and we shouldn't be determining disaster aid based on what party you have been registered to or where you live. And so we're fighting hard to push back on that and try and get as much funding as we can. So with that, thanks so much for having me on, and look forward to working with all of you. My staff members, Nico and Karen, are on this call, and we can provide assistance to businesses and to family members and constituents. So please give us a call. And thank you again for having me on this call.
Thank you, Congressman. I appreciate that. Appreciate all the resources you're doing. So let me also ask you this, the attendees, if you would put in the chat, what are your needs? We're collecting that. What are your most immediate needs? What are your long-term needs? And we have not only legislators on the call, but legislative staff who are asking for a real on the ground and honest assessment of what your needs are, both short-term and long-term, to continue to draft legislation that will meet those needs. So thank you again, Congressman. I appreciate you being on the call. Again, we have a really full lineup of speakers. And before I ask Stephen Chung to come and speak from LAEDC and all the resources there, may I introduce Barbara Brudelin from the Palisades Malibu Pacific Palisades Chamber of Commerce. She is co-hosting this event with me today. And Barbara, let me kick it over to you.
Thank you so much. Good day, everyone. A couple of years ago, we joined together Malibu Pacific Palisades as one large neighborhood, one large community. And we're here in these beautiful mountains together and the coastline. And so we have so much in common. And I know and love many of you. I can see many people here that are businesses that I know. And last year, I walked every square inch of the Palisades and wrote down every business. And I have a preliminary list of how many businesses I think we've lost there. And it's about 75 that I can see at this point and growing. I'm sure there will be more. And there were about 12 lost in Malibu. And unfortunately, all of these are historic landmarks. And my heart goes out to everyone and to all the homeowners who lost. We will be here for you. We're here for you now. We will continue to try to create a sense of community by hosting events. We'll be tracking all of the reconstruction to make sure that you have the support you need all the way through for the next several years. So thank you so much for attending today, and I wish you Godspeed, everyone.
Thank you, Barbara. And you know, we're here supporting you, supporting the businesses and the recovery. So thank you for all that you're doing right now. Stephen Chung, may I kick the Zoom floor over to you, please?
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Stephen Chung here. I'm with the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation, a nonprofit organization that works across the county, sharing some resources. Judy, do I have permission to share the screen?
Yes, you do. But let me just make sure that it is set up. You can go for it.
Perfect. I will share the resources quickly. As Congressmember Liu and also Senator Allen stated, and also in the chat, you can see a whole bunch of resources are there. What we found is that previously in the last major disaster, which was COVID, a lot of resources became available, but become overwhelming for our small business owners because they're trying to deal with all the various things that are happening to them, and they don't have a single source of information. So something called Together for LA was created. And this is a partnership between LAEDC, LA Area Chamber of Commerce, BizFed, the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, Dr. Lucy Jones Center. A number of different partners came together so that we can pull the resources together to do a one-stop shop for businesses, especially the small businesses here in Los Angeles that are going through so much. As many of you already know, 95% of LA County's companies have less than 20 employees. So to basically balance all those become very difficult. So I'm going to share my screen and basically go through two sets of resources that we pulled together for you to be able to utilize. But before we get there, I want to also highlight, besides the devastation that's been happening, one of the things that we're looking at is basically the number that's been impacted. So currently, we're still waiting for the LA Fire Department to do their damage inspection database update. But from what we found in our database, we use a GIS map to overlay it. There are currently about 1,863 businesses located within the fire perimeters that were around Los Angeles. And with it, about 11,438 employees are directly impacted. This is just the low end. So we expect that number to increase. So as we're moving forward, we want to make sure the resources are going to be available. So I will share this screen right now. Let's hope it works. Perfect. Judy, is this working?
It's working. We see it.
So I have two sets of resources. One is the Together for LA site that I was talking about. What we did is basically try to consolidate a lot of the information that you will actually be hearing from our partners at SBA and FEMA, but just so that you can have the information there. So this is just for business recovery. So it's very easy for you to get access information to the county central information, so you can follow the evacuation order or the recovery information and any resources, including their two disaster centers that are being launched today, the UCLA Research Park, as well as Pasadena City College. And then, of course, the City of Los Angeles have their different emergency operations information there. Separately, you have a number of different business assistants. So if you need direct technical assistance, you can access some of those information through our business assistance sites. And SBA specifically have loans and resources available to not only business owners, but homeowners and also renters as well, as Senator Allen had mentioned before. Workforce development, there are many workers that will be displaced. So as the Senator mentioned before, there are additional resources is all collected in one single location for you to be able to access, and also the American Job Center. And then if there are also folks that want to volunteer their time or their efforts, we're actually working with the California CPA Association, as well as the State Bar Association of California, to make sure that their pro bono services available for small businesses who have lost everything in the fire and they don't even have access to their EI numbers or records, so that they can recover that information. And of course, the LA County Clerk's Office is able to provide that information. So that's it Together for LA. If you go on the very top, you can always access the Get Assistance Now. And so there's another page that we stood up at LADC. This is more general information to give you additional information instead of just the business opportunities that are available. This includes, in addition to what you saw before, accommodation, transportation, childcare, non-governmental supportive services from Salvation Army and American Red Cross, communication. I saw there was a question about pets and animals. The animal shelters and cares, mental health support, and lists of information, including free food that might be available. This will continue to be updated, and we're collecting the information through LADC. So as soon as you get to the LADC sites, you can access whether the wildfire assistance or the Together for LA site, and I'll put the link in the chat. So those resources are available. And one last thing is, the County of Los Angeles through the Department of Economic Opportunity, I'm tracking up right now. I believe they're voting right now. They're creating a business interruption fund for small businesses. If that's going to be passed through LA County, then there are going to be funding that's going to be available for small businesses and businesses across Los Angeles that has been impacted, to be able to apply for those funds. Separately, we know that the LA Area Chamber of Commerce is also creating a resource fund for businesses as well. So we'll list those information, and those grants are available as soon as they become available. So check on LADC to get it for LA, or just LADC to get the information. That's all I have. Judy, back to you.
Thank you, Stephen. I've always been impressed with how quickly you can cover material. So thank you so much. I know there's just a wealth of information on the LAED site. So let's move on. Again, we've got a pretty full schedule. Welcome again to those of you who are just now joining us. We will have a schedule with FEMA, SBA, Cal OSPA, and SBDC coming up. And I will now introduce Kobe Griffin with FEMA. If you will, let me give the Zoom floor over to you, Kobe. Okay, so I know I saw him earlier. Kobe, if you're coming on, you're on mute. We can't hear you yet. We see you.
What about now?
Yeah, we hear you now. Thank you.
All right, my apologies. I'm going to have to use a headset, but whatever works.
Yep, thank you.
Right. So my name is Kobe Griffin. I'm the FEMA Region 9 private sector liaison full-time, and I serve as a private sector manager for this disaster, or DR 4856. On behalf of FEMA, our thoughts are with families and communities experiencing loss from the fires. I have placed a number of resources in the chat. So if you find my initials KG, you'll see the information that I provided. One of the documents is a compilation of links that have been put together by Cal OES, which include state nonprofit and federal links, and another includes links to other sites that you would benefit from accessing, whether it be for applying for resources or for providing information regarding donations. All right, this continues to be a dangerous situation. There continues to be a high likelihood of critical fire weather conditions into the week. I encourage everyone to stay vigilant as weather conditions can rapidly change, and we all understand Santa Ana winds and how that works. So just remain vigilant. If there is an evacuation order or you hear that there's potential hazard, please take heed. These wildfires have claimed lives, destroyed property, and pose a serious threat. We've had a number of questions regarding what is FEMA doing to help state and local governments. So I'd like to take a few moments to share some things. State and local governments may receive 100% reimbursement for emergency work. As the president did for states affected by Hurricane Helene, he has approved 100% cost share for public assistance categories A and B for 180 days. This means we will cover 100% of the costs that the state and local governments are encountering for debris removal, life-saving, and life-sustaining activities, including fire suppression efforts. Last week, President Biden approved a major disaster declaration for California, providing resources and funding to state and local governments. FEMA also approved 3 fire management assistance grants to supplement state and local resources to fight the fires. The program is available to states, local, and tribal governments for mitigation, management, and control of fires on publicly or privately owned forests or grasslands. The federal government covers 75% of the costs of a fire management assistance grant, and the state is responsible for the remaining 25%. Now, what is FEMA doing to help survivors? Well, Los Angeles County residents can apply for FEMA assistance. The major disaster declaration approved last week by the president for California allows survivors to access resources and funding for FEMA to jumpstart their recovery. First, as was mentioned by a few folks earlier, if you have insurance, file with your insurance. then apply for FEMA. If you do not have insurance or are underinsured, FEMA assistance is available to help cover needs not met by insurance. It is important to know that you have insurance and apply with FEMA. The application process cannot continue until you provide your insurance claim information. Again, we've heard that a couple times today. I just want to reiterate. If that occurs, we will notify you that your application was not yet approved for this reason. Once you file with your insurance and receive a decision, your application with FEMA can continue to determine if you still have basic unmet needs. FEMA assistance is available to cover uninsured or underinsured disaster-related damage and is not intended to replace insurance. Survivors can begin applying for disaster assistance online at disasterassistance.gov or via the FEMA app or by calling 1-800-621-3362. Help is available in multiple languages. Disaster recovery centers are scheduled to open today by 1 p.m. Pacific. There was a soft opening scheduled for this morning, but the formal openings were scheduled for 1 o'clock today. The locations have been placed in the chat, but I'll just really quickly cover UCLA Research Park at West 1085 West Pico Boulevard. Hours of operation are 9 o'clock this morning to 8 p.m. The second location is the Pasadena City College Community Center, 3035 East Foothill Boulevard in Pasadena. Hours of operation are 9 to 8. You may also use a recently established site created by Cal OES, which is ca.gov/LA-fires/. So that information has also been placed in the chat. FEMA understands that you may not have all of your personal documents with you that may have, and they may have been lost in the fire. So we understand that, and please don't use that as a reason not to apply or not to call us. To apply, you only need information like your social security number, household income, and details on property damage or emergency needs. People may be eligible for upfront funds to cover essential items like gas, medication, money for temporary housing, home repairs, low-cost loans to cover uninsured property losses, or other resources to help individuals and business owners recover from the effects of the disaster. As of this morning, more than 37,000 people have registered for FEMA assistance, and we've approved more than $5 million for applicants. What happens now? When you receive your letter, it's important to read the entire letter. It will explain what assistance you're eligible for and what additional information is needed to continue the application process, such as your insurance information or additional documentation. If you receive a letter stating you're not approved, you may still be eligible for FEMA assistance. Oftentimes, survivors are not approved because FEMA needs additional information to make a decision. If you get a not approved letter, please call us back. If you have questions about your letter, please call the FEMA helpline. Again, that's 1-800-621-3362, or log on to your local disasterassistance.gov to start the appeal. Lastly, disaster response is a whole of community effort. FEMA and our local partners like SBA, Health and Human Services, National Forest Service, and the Department of Defense are working closely with the state of California and local partners to assess the ongoing situation and determine where federal support may be most effective. FEMA has staff embedded with Cal OES and working side by side to ensure coordination. Additionally, we have deployed an incident management assistance team, and more than 152 FEMA responders are on the ground to assist state and local resources with the California fires. And we expect this number to increase in days to come. Thank you for allowing me to present today. Are there any questions? As my apologies, I may have to drop for another call.
And Kobe, we will ask people to put their questions in the chat. We do appreciate all your information and you're a wealth of information daily, and appreciate all that you're providing. Thank you for being here. If you have questions, if you would put them in the chat, and we're going to follow up with the right department during questions. Now, we still have a very full schedule. We have SBA and Cal OSPA as well as SBDC on the call to provide resources. I do have to say, though, we just found out that SBA will be in the Santa Monica Chamber office with staff starting tomorrow. And our office location is at 2525 Main Street, Santa Monica, Suite 103. We're storefront right on Main Street in Santa Monica. SBA is setting up shop in our office, and we'll be able to assist you with walk-ins. So with that, our SBA speaker today is Africa Roses. And Africa, if you would, please come forward and present. You can screen share if you want to. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Judy and Barbara, for putting this together. Senator Allen and Congressman Yu, thank you for your leadership. I just sent a website through the chat, and that's the website I'm going to go over with you right now. So once we finish this workshop, you can, when you have time, you can go on the website and see exactly what I'm telling you to do. So right here on the chat, you're going to see two websites. One is the main website, which is lending.sba, sorry, sba.gov. That one is going to take you to the main lending site. And the other one says SBA portal is going to take you straight to this one, which is the disaster website that we have available for the disaster. And here is where we are uploading everything we have. So this would be your main point of resources coming from the SBA. And as you can see, I'm going to speak about Los Angeles County. Although we have other counties that can get SBA loan, I'm going to focus in Los Angeles. So if you scroll down, can you also see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect, thank you. If you scroll down, you will see that we have different documents related to this disaster. The first one is the locations. We have fact sheets. We have the press release, and you have access to all of that. I'm going to go over if I can move this around. There you go. I'm going to go over quickly the fact sheet. We have it in different languages. This one is in English, and as you can see, what happened is the governor declared an emergency for the state in January 7th, and the president declared the disaster in January 8th. So that means we have a presidential disaster, and that activates FEMA, SBA, and federal funding, right? So as of right now, we have these filing deadlines. We have two different types of loans. One loan is for physical damages. And as you can see here, I'm going to highlight them so you can follow me. What types of disaster loans are available? We have business physical disaster loan. We also have home disaster loans. These are for physical damages. And not only businesses can apply, but also homeowners, renters, and private nonprofit organizations. I'm going to go over the first one, which is business physical disaster loans. If you have, if you need to repair or replace disaster damaged property, you can use this loan for that, including real estate, inventory, supply, machinery, and equipment. Businesses of any size are eligible for this. And like I said, private nonprofit as well. This would be charities, churches, private universities, etc. Then we have the economic injury disaster loans, which you might be already familiar with because back in COVID, they were very popular. So we are offering those to small business owners and private nonprofit organizations that were affected by these fires. And you can use these proceeds For working capital, the entities eligible are small businesses, small agricultural cooperatives, also small businesses engaged in agriculture, and most private nonprofit organizations of all sizes. And this is to meet their necessary financial obligations like rent, payroll, things like that, that cannot be met because of the disaster. And home disaster loans. These would be for homeowners and renters that need to repair or replace disaster damaged real estate and personal property, including vehicles. What are the credit requirements? And I'm not going to go over the whole thing. We don't have time. However, you have this document on the website I send you via chat. The requirements, things to say about this. We don't reject applications based on your credit score. We always want to work with you, but make sure that you can repay the loan. So please don't think that because you don't have a good credit, you don't qualify. Please apply regardless. The interest rates, they start for business loans at 4%, home loans 2.563, non-profit organizations 3.625. This would be the same for physical damages and economic injury loan types of loans. The terms are up to 30 years. And for businesses that have credit available elsewhere would be up to 7. That's individual cases, but on average it's up to 30 years. We have 2 pages for this. Business loans can be up to $2 million, like I said, for repairing, replacing real estate, inventories, machinery, equipments, and all other physical losses. And home loans can be up to $500,000 for homeowners to repair or replace their homes, their real estate, and up to $100,000 to repair or replace personal property. That would be also for available to renters for their personal property in the house that they were renting. If it was damaged, if their cars didn't have insurance, they may qualify for up to $100,000. And talking about insurance, if you have insurance, please submit your claim, but don't wait to hear from the insurance. The way we do this, we try to replenish or to get you back to where you were before the disaster. And we work in combination between your insurance, FEMA, and the SBA. So your insurance, if you have insurance, you apply, you submit your claim, and you don't need to wait. You go and register with FEMA. FEMA will evaluate your losses and your needs, and you may get something from them. Whatever you don't get, the SBA can offer you a loan that is low interest, and the best thing of all, and this is something very important, you don't need to repay this loan for up to a year after you receive the funds. I repeat, you don't need to repay the loan for up to a year. So for 1 year, you forget about the loan, you focus in recovering, rebuilding your business, your home, and during that year, the interest is not gonna, it doesn't accrue. So you forget about the loan for a year. If your insurance comes back with additional funding, what we cannot do, FEMA or SBA, is providing funds for the same type of loss. So whatever, you can have options between your insurance, FEMA, SBA, and other sources. We cannot just duplicate compensations. Just be aware of that. For mitigation improvements, so let's say you get approved for $100,000. You can increase that loan 20% more, up to 20% more for mitigation purposes. What do we mean by that? If you need a bigger fence or stronger fence or a fireproof roof that you didn't have before, those kind of improvements that are going to get you better prepared for the next disaster. It doesn't need to be for fire. It can be for flooding. It can be for earthquake. It can be for any type of disaster. We want you to take this opportunity to rebuild better. And I'm going to move from this document, but you have it available. And one more thing, if you need to relocate, because some of the homeowners, business owners, they may decide that they are going to move somewhere else, you can use these loans to relocate. That would be an option. So I'm going to go back to the portal. This is the main source of information from the SBA. As you can see, we went over the fact sheet. Now I'm going to open the locations to receive assistance. And this is a very fast changing document because we are keeping up with the centers that FEMA is leading these recovery efforts because it's a presidential, so they lead the efforts, but we have SBA agents, SBA customer service representatives in each of the centers that FEMA opens. So as you can see right now, FEMA has 2 disasters recovery centers. You have the addresses right here. I'm not going to take more time for that. And you also have 2 disasters loan outreach centers that we opened. And we opened them today. So you have the hours here. You can go there. We accept walk-ins. However, we have a system to take applications. And I'm going to show you where to get that. I think I put it in the chat already. But this is the appointment.sba.gov. And you can schedule an appointment to go to one of these centers. I really encourage everybody not only to apply for these loans because there is no cost to apply. You need to take the loan. So you can see if you qualify for how much, and if you want to wait to see your other options, you have up to 6 months to leave that money there for you. So please apply. Don't think that because of your credit, because of something else, you don't qualify. We will let you know. And another thing, we have the press release. Let me go back to the portal right here. We have press releases. So if we come up with something else, it will be published here. And we have different languages. As you can see, we have Korean, Chinese, etc. But we really want you to recover from this disaster. We have teams in the field already working hard. And please, like I said, apply. You can come to this portal right here, click on apply for assistance for this disaster, and just follow the prompts. It's an easy process. That's all I have. Thank you.
And thank you, Africa. Really appreciate all that information and really, really good information. So also just want to mention again that that SBA is setting up a shop at the Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce starting tomorrow, and we will be open 9 to 5 on 2525 Main Street, Suite 103. We've got a storefront right there that SBA is locating to provide that walk-in disaster relief. But right now, let's move right on to Claire Whitmer and Chris Earl with Cal OSPA. I know you have to hop on another call, so let's cue it right up over to you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Judy. And Chris has some slides to provide information as well. I do have to hop off at 1 o'clock to go represent GoBiz at the Economic Recovery Support Function, a separate webinar. So I'll go first. I just want to follow up on some of the points that our partner at the SBA just made. So obviously getting financing for disaster relief is a business's primary concern in these circumstances. for those disaster recovery centers that she just identified, the most important thing is to go there. There are all of the federal agencies and information about the federal relief services available in these disaster recovery centers. There is language support. I see some of our SBDC colleagues on this call, and I just want to make a distinction between what the SBA provides, which is support for that disaster relief funding opportunity that is so essential and critical from the SBA. SBDC has a broader range of services they provide, and they have advisors also in those same locations. The SBDC advisors are there to support the SBA loan application process, but also to talk about things like questions about your insurance coverage and how to have those conversations effectively and comprehensively with your insurance agent, how to support your employees in terms of their physical security and their need for financial support, like unemployment insurance, and also to talk about business planning in this context. Do you need to relocate? Do you need to change your business model from a storefront to online? And how will you stand that up quickly and provide marketing for that? So the SBDC advisors work in concert with the SBA. The SBDCs are federally funded, of course, but Cal SBA's role is to administer the governor's investment, $23 million annually, in that same network of small business support centers. So I'm going to let my colleague Chris speak to some of the specifics that are available on this site. But I also just want to point out that the governor also made an announcement over the weekend about tax relief for Los Angeles businesses. The CDTFA has extended the January 31st, 2025 sales and use tax filing deadline for Los Angeles County taxpayers until April 30th. So not only is that deadline extended, and that does not apply to federal taxes. This is for California sales and use taxes, but they have support for obtaining copies of tax records, updating account information, and getting relief from interest and penalties that are associated with all of that. So taxes may not be the first thing on people's minds right now, but that deadline is imminent. So I will put the link in the chat as to how to obtain more information from CDTFA about that tax relief deadline. So here is our page I believe I just put it. Did I put it in the chat? There we go. I got it into the chat. Excuse me. Can't find the button. Recover and Rebuild. This is just our contribution to the dissemination of information about resources. That page is focused specifically on resources for small businesses in the LA area. So I'll turn it over to Chris, and I will put that link to CDTFA in the chat. Thank you for including us today in this call, Judy, and all of the Santa Monica Chamber staff.
Okay, thank you so much, Claire. Really appreciate all this great content and good resources. Now, did Chris want to say anything?
Yeah, just wanted to highlight the resources and just to kind of extend on Claire's point of the DLOC sites from the SBA. They are co-located with our SBDC and Women's Business Center sites as well, in addition to the FEMA Disaster Recovery Center. So that location in Pasadena is all co-located with all of state, local, and federal resources, as well as the Ventura DLOC site has state and federal resources there. And then obviously the Research Park at UCLA is being activated today. And so that one as well is through FEMA for the Palisades Fire. So just wanted to kind of highlight and make the distinction, but also let folks know that all these resources we're trying to coordinate and put all them together in one place and centralize so that you all don't have to go to 10 different sites, 10 different locations. You know, you can get what you need in one location or at one site. So that's what I really wanted to highlight there. In addition to that, just wanted to highlight the Southern California staff from our Cal OSBA team. They are on site at these locations as well. So we have Stephanie Garcia and Susana Ramirez Munoz, who are out in the field today at these sites. So you may cross paths with them. I have their contact information as well. And for the sake of time, just wanted to highlight that we are in coordination with Cal OES as part of the Economic Recovery Support Function, known as the Economic RSF. In addition to that, we have our disaster program, Outsmart Disaster, which is really focused on helping businesses prepare for these types of incidents and things of that nature. So there are existing resources from the state side that can be in support of businesses kind of prepping themselves of how to get around business interruption and kind of still operate in these challenging times. And I think the last piece of that is just from our office, we are available and happy to assist in any way possible. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Judy, and Claire. You just popped up.
Let me just step in that I do see lots of questions about grants in the chat, and I don't want to ignore that. Our message right now is that the SBA loans are first come, first serve, and we encourage people to get in the queue for the SBA loans that are available immediately. Stephen Chung mentioned this business interruption fund, which, if it is approved by the council, will become available locally. That is from the LA County Economic Opportunity team. And I believe that will be funded through philanthropy. So I understand the question about grants. The state is evaluating local efforts and damage assessments to see where the state needs to step in. But right now, our message for the moment is to encourage people to take advantage of the federal resources that are available right now on site. So I don't want to ignore the question, but I also don't want people to wait in anticipation of grants that have not yet been approved either locally or at the state level.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Chris and Claire, with your information. We're collecting all this. This is being recorded, so collecting all the good information. And now we're going to cue over to Sharon Peterson with the SBDC. Sharon.
Hello, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen here, and then we can get started. Okay, a lot of the things that I'll talk about have already been covered, so I won't belabor them, but I wanted to let you know on the SBDC side, the Los Angeles Network is really partnering with a lot of the organizations that have already spoken and offer resources for businesses. So how can we help you? There are a lot of things that are needed during this time. We offer no-cost business technical assistance or advisory services and training to small business owners. Now, I put a few areas that we're focusing on first here. We talked about insurance. I think someone mentioned the insurance support workshop. This is actually held at Santa Monica College, January 18th and 19th. That's Saturday and Sunday, and I have the times on there. And if you want to schedule an appointment for that, you should call 800-927-4357. And that is actually posted through Commissioner Ricardo Lara's Insurance Support Workshop. Another thing that we're doing is we're helping navigate the financial resources. I know the SBA talked about a lot of the resources they have and a lot of the loan programs. We have business advisors and consultants at the SBDC that can also help you navigate those resources. And if you have questions, we have our appointments by Zoom and also in person. So whatever's easier. We also have legal services available at no cost to you and accounting. So whatever you need help with, whether it's actually trying to prepare the loan package, getting information together, or have questions about legal questions or accounting questions, we can help with that. So another thing that I want to actually talk about is with our center, we will be also doing some walk-in sessions. This will be actually at the Santa Monica Chamber and the main library starting next week. So if you're interested in those, I don't have the times yet. We'll get working those out. This is all very fluid, right? And so we are, if you call our office at 310-225-8277, then you can talk to someone at the front desk there, and they can give you the schedule for next week. Or also, I'll send it to Judy if they get it to us in the next couple of hours or the next day, so she can get it out to everyone. One thing that we haven't really talked about a lot is recovery. You know, we need the loans, we need everything up front, but then also we can help with recovery plans. So if you're not really sure what the path forward is after getting the money and getting everything else, we can help you really look at your business and see how to move forward, which I think is very important. So we have many, many resources. They're all at no cost to you. And we're doing the Q&A. If you have any questions, I can take those.
All right. Thank you, Sharon. Really appreciate that. And we will, let's pull down that screen share.
Okay.
And then also want to say SBDC is going to be in the chamber office this Thursday. So they will be holding office hours in Santa Monica from 1 to 6 on Thursday, and then Friday afternoon as well. And follow up after that, but we're not sure what hours. So let's open it up to questions. And if you would raise your hand, and there's still a lot of people on the call. We do have some time for questions. And if the speakers can unmute, and let's see how we can address some of the questions that that people are bringing forward. I know we've had a number of questions about grant opportunities, and we certainly saw during COVID that there were plenty of private organizations and philanthropic organizations that were providing some grants. I have no doubt that that will come forward, but for right now, I think it's clear that what's being offered are loans from SBA. Stephen and LAEDC will be giving us some updates on potential grants from the county. But let's see, what questions do we have that we can pull from the crowd? Go ahead and raise your hand, and I will pick on you. I will choose you here. Help me, speakers, if you see any hands that are up.
I don't believe there's the option to raise your hand.
Okay. I've had some hands up, so but Tam with the Palisades Wamble, can you unmute?
Hi,
Go ahead.
can you hear me? If we apply for a loan and it goes through, is there a possibility with the different processes in the government right now that they may be forgiven later on, or is that not even something that might be in the pipeline?
We don't have any information regarding forgiving any loans at this time. Right now, they need to be repaid, but you have a year to do so.
If I can jump in here, during COVID, this is not the federal loans, but the county was issuing loans. And at a certain point, because there's so much feedback coming from the community, asking them, stating a lot of what the chat said before, without any income, it doesn't make sense for folks to take on additional debt. So they actually converted some of those loans and forgave some of those loans. So currently, we're tracking what the county and the city, because they're to what Judy was mentioning, they're trying to raise funds from philanthropic community. So at that point, once the business interruption funds become available, again, we will send this out on our website, but also make sure that Judy has information to pass on to all of you as well. So hopefully those will become grants rather than loans, because we've already stated, we learned from before, small businesses without income and indefinitely without knowing what's going to happen, it doesn't make sense for them to take on debt because they'll never be able to repay it. So that's heard loud and clear, and we'll make sure that we get the information to Santa Monica Chamber.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just reading through the chat questions, and this is certainly something that I'm seeing on the ground in Main Street, is employers want to know how to help their employees as they do temporary layoffs or layoffs. And I know that was covered, but if we can just talk about that one more time, and I believe that's under our state resources with Cal OSPA. While we're thinking about that, Genevieve, you have a question?
Well, I was just a follow-up to what Stephen was saying. Stephen, when those do become available, how do we control, how does I guess the state or the city, I'm not sure where it would come from, but remember those grants were provided and they went to like I know that there was a very large lumber company that was making a lot of money that got $1 million loan and didn't really need it, but he got one of these loans. How are we controlling that they go to the small businesses that need it once it does, if and when it does become available?
Yeah, I think if you separate the federal, state, and local part, all I can talk about is kind of the local control part. The Board of Supervisors, as of today, was discussing some of those processes. So when it becomes available, there are going to be public hearing. And so this is where the public needs to be involved to make sure that you guys are actually calling in or showing up at the board meetings to provide that feedback with suggested language that gives access to small businesses to advocate for that. And then with enough support, they usually are able to very quickly insert language that will protect to make sure the priority goes to small businesses.
Thank you.
In blue tattoo?
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me? So I hear a lot about, you know, the loans and money and recovery. The thing that I think, more concerned about long term is the marketing. Like, for weeks now, well, at least 2, people are watching the news and basically seeing that LA is burning to the ground. Do we have any idea or resources as a community, as local areas, to put a plan in place for marketing to encourage tourism and drive traffic back to these areas that have been affected?
If I can answer that, and I'll kick it over to Barbara. We have a powerhouse in our city, Santa Monica Travel and Tourism, and they are working with state and other impacted regions to identify what that message is and then how to get it out. And I don't want to necessarily call on anybody from SMTT who's on the call, but you know, we've got some pretty big powerhouses and their sweet spot is really messaging. They're on it, they're working. Barbara, what would your response be to that?
Oh, after the Woolsey fire, we had a lot of press, you know, just about the fire. And I had for months people calling to ask if it was still smoky. You know, they have no idea. They just have no idea how beautiful it still is here. And we put together a program where we had a lot of huge donations, and we created a marketing plan that was in different magazines with beautiful photos of what's going on and visiting the area. And we could do that again, and it was very successful. So it's just one of the things that we can do. And as Judy said, the LA Tourism Department is going to work with us. I know they're very good about that. So we'll keep coming up with ideas, and if you have any ideas, please feel free to send them to me, ceo@malibu.org, and we'll try to implement them.
All right, thank you. And I'm going to pick on Drake Sides here in a minute, but there is a question about, will this impact the World Cup or any of our sporting events coming up? I do have to say the Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce has a Power of Business Summit in 2 weeks at the Santa Monica Brew Works. And one of our speakers is how to gain contracts with the LA Sporting Commission and covers NFL games and that sort of thing. So we've got a workshop coming on in 2 weeks. We know how important it is for you to get your business and get your business back and recover. So the workshop that is at Santa Monica Brew Works on January 30th, we'll send you all information. One panel is how to increase your business through marketing with AI and other new sources. And the second panel is how to increase your business through contracting in the sporting industry. So it'll be a good resource for you. You may want to attend it and have a cold beer. So I'm going to pick Drake Sides next, and then I will pick Jennifer Rush.
Hey there. Quick question just for the immediate return to work for employees in the Santa Monica area, specifically around Main Street. Is the environmental factors safe for employees to return as far as air quality, utilities? the potential for continued fire threat.
Are you watching AQMD, their website for updates on air quality? If not, I
Can do.
yeah, I can send that to you. It was green both yesterday and today, and we're watching. The city sites are pushing out all those links. Your question was about air quality. It's reflecting green, which is the highest level of healthy. But also for some reason, Santa Monica Bay tends to be in a different air stream than the rest of LA region because of the Bay Area. But I can send you that link, and the city is pushing it out as well. You had a second part to the question. What was that?
It was just continuation of environmental factors for returning to work. But if I can check the city website, I'm happy to do so. Yeah.
I track it every day because it is important to know whether it's healthy for your workers to be here and what's the status. Another question from Scott Baker.
Hi, yeah, Scott and Sandra here from Shuntos on Santa Monica Boulevard. I just wanted to share with you all that we have partnered up with World Central Kitchen, and we are providing free meals for first responders, evacuees, and then really anybody in need. We're open every day from 1 to 6. We're located on Santa Monica Boulevard between 5th and 6th Avenue. So anybody that is in need of a hot meal, they can stop by and just come and get one.
Can I ask you a question? Are they paying you, because I have a restaurant too, to make the meals, or you're just giving it all away?
We get compensated to cover some of our costs. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You're getting compensated by World Relief or by World
Central Kitchen. If you want to shoot me a text,
sure,
email, I can get you connected.
Thank you. What's your text? Or you'll give it to me.
I'll put my email in the chat right now.
Thank you so much. Is it okay if because we spent I'm on Ocean Avenue, and most of our dining space is outside. So my first thing is we're paying rent for a parklet where no one's eating. The last week has been dismal on top of really bad sales. We're probably doing like a 20th the sales we did. And we've been supplying food to fire stations and doing everything gratis. So short of like 2 more weeks at this pace at Blue Plate Oyster and Taco, I will not be able to operate because we also have managers on staff that I can't let go, rent, and a big nut. So the question is there any programs you can do? We don't have people coming into the restaurants to eat, which, I know the hotels are full down there because a lot of people are displaced. Is there anything we can do short? And believe me, we've given away so much food that we can at least cover our costs and be making, just covering to pay our salaries and food.
What's your question?
If there's anything, the Chamber of Commerce can do, or tourism travel, working with the 24 hotels in Santa Monica to get people who are staying in the hotels to order food from local restaurants in downtown Santa Monica. We're just not having customers and we're not getting orders. And the hotels are full. So there's a disconnect there.
Right. Okay. So the question is how can we push out the locals to buy local and visit local? And I think all of us.
And it's not even locals, it's hotels. There's 24 hotels that seem to be somewhat occupied with displaced people.
Right.
And how do we get them they have to eat.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Jenny. And Natalie. Natalie, did you have a question, or Derek?
Can do you hear me?
Derek or Natalie, you're on mute.
I don't know how to do this with him raising.
Okay, so let's move on. Derek or Natalie, you do have your hand up, but you're on mute and I'm not quite sure what your question is. So are there any other questions? If not, we'll close
Yeah,
out.
can I ask you? Hi, it's Barbara.
Sorry, that was,
honestly,
oh.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead,
I'm-
Barbara.
I mean, Sadie's friend who didn't even lose her house but got evacuated.
Okay, go ahead, Barbara.
Okay, so as you might know, I lost everything. Everything. It's incredible. The only good thing is my business was always online, so I always can talk and I'm actually doing business and it does feel okay. It is incredible, overwhelming, all this information. So I'm trying to get my friends to support me. And it's so much information that no one, like you're going through trauma, you're going, like someone says, you feel like eating. No, you don't feel like eating because you can't. I mean, for me, it just goes through. So it's incredible trauma you experience, and you can do 3 things. And for me, sometimes the biggest release is just to work and help people in what I'm doing right. It is a nightmare with California Fair plan, because travelers, I can tell you, they processed my claim in 1.5 days. Everything is clear, everything is wonderful. California Fair plan just came in, they acknowledged this, and yesterday I was able to talk to a colleague and we went over my policy, because I don't do so much, I don't really do PNC anymore because I do mostly health. And so he told me there's 3,600 claims, and at least he gave me an ETA. Don't expect anything for 8 to 10 days. That helps me at least to say, okay, I don't have to call, I don't have to spend hours on the phone to talk to someone, because you can't process FEMA until you get the information from your insurance. So I don't understand that no one can help California Fair Plan to answer phone calls, to help on these phone calls, to give people ETAs to know what is going on. I think these whole loan things, they're wonderful, they're great, they're fantastic, but it's so overwhelming to get the information. Listen, guys, I have an MBA. I have really smart people behind me. I'm trying to do these sheets to say, guys, this is a resource, this is a resource, but everyone gives me resources. This is so overwhelming. This is incredible overwhelming, but I get through this and I get step by step. But this fear, oh my God, I couldn't get this loan, I couldn't get this. Please, we're people, we're hurting. Help these people who at least, we lost everything. And I built this stuff back, but I'm asking you, help people to not have this, you have to do it right now. You have to do it right now. Please do something there, because it's killing me.
Okay, Barbara, can you give me a call this afternoon? I've seen your posts, I've seen your pictures. I know you've lost everything. So give me a call this afternoon and let's talk. I think there's another question, Walker.
Hey, Judy, real quick, I just want to make a note. I heard earlier that some of the restaurants obviously are suffering, of course, and they were asking for people in the hotels to order local food. As a guy in a hotel at the Proper, there's nobody at the hotels. They got evacuated. People have left once the sort of line moved. People left as well. So even the hotels are suffering. They did not, when people bugged out, they didn't come to the Santa Monica Hotel. So our business is off for the rest of the month as well. So just FYI for those restaurants, there's nobody at the hotels either.
Well, there are some hotels full, so that's interesting. Rob Abercrombie.
Hi, will there be a suspension or decrease in cost for the outdoor dining permits that we pay to City of Santa Monica every month?
Good question. And so we're collecting some of those questions and needs and presenting them to we have City on the call now, and we're also collecting what we need to ask of our local and county and state to get everyone through this. So we'll pass that along, Rob. Derek, did I call on you?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, my heart, thoughts, prayers go out to all those businesses that did lose everything. I am so sorry to hear. We, our Palisades studio, we're located at the bottom of the Highlands, and we were very fortunate the firemen saved our entire Spruzzo, Moko Sushi, Starbucks, Sanctuary Spa. All those businesses were saved. However, we all have the same landlord, and I didn't know if anybody could direct me to any resources in negotiating with this landlord. As you know, in 15 days, they are going to want their money. And in lieu of the COVID lockdown, many businesses in that strip had to leave because of the lack of negotiation that they would do. So if anybody had any resources that could direct us, that would be helpful.
How was your insurance?
I came in just a few years ago, so there was no fire allowed.
Okay. All right, we're taking that question, unless somebody knows any resource as far as paying leases. Okay, Derek, we'll hang on to that. Elizabeth, are you able to unmute?
Hi, thank you guys for this seminar. It's really great. I agree with that gal. I didn't get her name. It is so overwhelming. This is my second fire. We had the Woolsey fire when I had my shop in Malibu, room at the beach, and now Elizabeth Lamont in the Palisades. So we are lucky to be part of the block that Rick Caruso virtually saved. So my store is standing. Of course, we have total smoke damage. And I'm really asking the same question that Derek is. You know, our rent is due in less than 15 days. And our landlord, I reached out to them and to her and said, on our clause in my lease, it says that they have to come and clean up the building. Now they can't even get in there. Do you guys have any word on that? Like when people like that, like assessors and people like that will be able to get into the Palisades? I mean, that would be kind of question one.
We wouldn't have that information. You'll probably need to find out through the city or city of LA or the county of LA or the fire department. We wouldn't have that information, but I do hear you about the issue with leases. We're collecting that and seeing if there's any resources at all. So
yeah, it's very tough because I lost my home as well. So I'm kind of dealing it with two fronts, and it's really, really overwhelming. And what I had an idea, because, I'm trying to stay super organized, but if there was one place that said, SBA loans, FEMA loan, you're sure, now for me on my home personally, I had State Farm drop me, and now I have a California Fair Plan. And so we're trying to deal with that. I mean, it's crazy time.
Okay. Any thoughts from, I know that Claire had to jump off, but Chris Earl, from the state, any thoughts you might have with some of those questions? Okay. We may have lost him. So we're taking these questions and we'll see what information we can provide and follow up. That may not be right away, but at some point down the road, we'll be looking to see. We need to know what the needs are. We need to know what the needs are to pass them along. So,
well, I mean, specifically on the California Fair Plan versus State Farm, is that, we don't even know what we're doing. Like, I had a much bigger policy on State Farm, and then they dropped me. So now I have California Fair Plan, which is much less. And people are saying, like, people are getting money and getting back to them. I've heard absolutely zero, like nothing. And so any help with that would be amazing, as well as the business.
Okay, great. All right. So Allison Bunsey.
Allison, I'm so sorry.
Hi, my name is Allison Bunce. I was a resident in Malibu, and my home and my home-based business, which was a gluten-free bakery, has burned down. I was a cottage food operator, so I had a permit from the LA County Health Department, which legally allowed me to bake and sell directly from my home. I pay an annual fee for that permit. I'm wondering if you are working with the LA County Health Department, one, for that fee. Do I have to keep paying it because my bakery burned down? And then also, how can I how can I bake again? Are you working with, or can you work with commercial space kitchens that can grant me that can grant me a preliminary permit or license, so I'm legally able to bake and sell out of this? So I haven't heard anything from the LA Health Department, so I'm not sure how to move forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Stephen, any thoughts from you there?
Yeah, I think in talking to the county and the city, we've been trying to coordinate and get information from them. A lot of the information right now is still about safety, life, and property because this active fire is still going on right now, and they haven't switched completely to the recovery phase. We're pushing them to basically get this information out there. So to what Judy's saying, collecting this information allows like nonprofits like us to be able to push for them to basically start coming up with a plan. And I didn't know about these fees, but one of the things that we did during COVID is to ask for the county and the municipalities to waive all fees that are associated with doing business when those businesses are not there. So these are the information, and thank you again, Santa Monica Chamber, for putting this together to allow us to basically aggregate this information. We're doing the same thing over in Altadena and other regions as well. So combined together with some of the similar issues, we can basically advocate for change and maybe waiving of these fees. So if you're able to be more specific about this, allow Judy to collect this information. This helps us to aggregate the information and to start asking for some changes.
Yes, thank you. Let's see. I'm gonna ask iPhone with no name, with the yellow sweater.
Is that me, Lena?
Yes.
Thank you. I was having such a difficult time finding the raise hand button on my mobile. I'm so sorry about that. Next to Elizabeth Lamont, I'm still standing. I have not been able to get there because I'm currently in Miami. My husband and I and our 4-year-old are moving to LA for our business in 6 weeks. So we arrive on Sunday. Is there any information on how we can get there to get like some critical information, like our computers? I heard you say to contact the county, etc. But also, are there any resources for relocation assistance? Because I cannot operate strictly with my e-commerce. That's my business, is attending to the client firsthand. It's a spa. So I have no idea what to do.
Okay, back up a minute. You already have a lease?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been there for a year.
Oh, okay. All right. So FEMA is the source that listed the relocation assistance. Maybe you weren't on the call yet. But
I was, yes. I thought this was 4:30 Pacific time. I'm so sorry. I jumped on late. Okay, FEMA.
Yeah, that's okay. You know what? We have this recorded and we will send this to everyone who signed up.
Great.
So you'll have information, but FEMA will help you with that relocation assistance and assistance that way. And you know, I have to say this this pulling together this resource workshop came together really nicely. I think everyone was really committed to helping to, first of all, identify what the needs are and then providing those first of the line resources. I reached out to Malibu Pacific Palisades Chamber last week and said, what's your most immediate need? And it was, what's the immediate resources? So that's why this came together. And I appreciate certainly all the offices that came to show what the resources are. We hear you. And this is certainly smacks a lot of what we just experienced during COVID. And so, as you know, Immediate needs are being addressed with FEMA and SBA and SBDC and Cal OSPA and all the resources. Stephen Chong mentioned the LAEDC has a really comprehensive website for resources. But as you saw last time, it will unfold. The legislators that are on the call are gathering information, and we need to give that feedback back. So, again, speakers, thank you for joining us. Stephen and Chris and Sharon and Africa and Kobe, all of you, thank you for taking time to come on this call. It is recorded. I will be sending it out, and please keep us updated. Barbara, I know that you're struggling. We hear you. You got a lot of friends at the Santa Monica Chamber. Give me a call. And our hearts go out to everyone who's struggling. But we may need to do webinars, and I know other nonprofits are doing webinars, but we may need to do them weekly as funding and opportunities and resources unfold. So
thank you so much, Judy, for pulling this all together. You're just such a sweetheart. I know our former chair, Ian Rovin, is here. Did you want to say something quickly?
Yeah, if possible. Sorry. Hi, everybody. Sorry to take the last minute here. So I'm a local attorney and a small business owner with a couple of restaurants in Malibu. Do you know, and sorry, me and my staff, we're doing some training at Pepperdine, additional legal training, so we know how to further help folks who are in need so that we don't become a roadblock. Are you or anybody on this call who's on the sort of with 3, 4, 5, 6 letter organizations able to also provide additional training to myself and my staff so we can provide help? It's all pro bono, of course.
what specific training are you looking for?
Well, I'm an attorney, so some people who need to navigate some of these applications aren't really sure exactly why they're getting denied from FEMA, and so stuff that's sort of nuance or tips and tricks, right? That could help, but also how to negotiate a little bit with your landlord. Maybe what I have employees, do I have to keep paying them? Things like that, where I can have somebody maybe from the SBA will say, hey, you as an attorney could let them know that through the SBA they can get this, but also ancillarily, here's another track they could go. That way we become sort of a one-stop shop, and like people are saying, you don't have to like jump around to find out these answers to these questions when you're stressed out.
Judy, can I jump in to answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was mentioning earlier that LADC is currently working and reaching out to Cal CPA and State Bar Association because they have these emergency. One of the other things we're doing is reaching out to the national group as well, including the IA CPA. This is the international group, and then we're trying to basically do the national bar association that covers this area. We're trying to pull experts that have gone through Katrina and other Paradise and Maui so that we can basically get some of their best practices. And one of the things that we are asking for is best practices. I don't know whether they have training, but what we can do is once we get this information, if it's available, then basically to bring it back to this group so that you can get direct access to them. We're trying to basically not be the middle person, but just basically streamline that process, but make that ask. So tomorrow I actually have a call directly with the State Bar Association in terms of what the services will be and how to connect the local folks who want to volunteer their time. I will bring up the training aspect to make sure that's one of the requests. And then once I have more information, it will be on our website, as well as I'll send it back to Judy.
Okay, just one quick comment. I have my office is right below Pepperdine, which may be a pretty strategic point for any other attorneys who want to come in and help. So I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you to please be a middle person for just a moment. Maybe you can connect me with some people. I could call the Bar Association, but if you already have a contact in there, that would be helpful.
If you don't mind, go to ladc.org, Together for LA. There's this a button that you could basically choose if you want to volunteer. You can enter your information, and once it's in information, we're collecting a full sheet of that information and basically start sorting it through. So if you can just put in the comment what you're saying right now, we'll track it and we'll be sure to get back to you. Thank you so much for your offer.
Thank you.
We're also collecting professional services. We have a number of attorneys volunteering the same thing. So there's a need for training the trainers. But Ian, can you get to Pepperdine from Santa Monica right now?
Actually, I'm in Monrovia. I just decided I'm a glutton for punishment. I want to check out the Eden Fire. No, I'm with my mother-in-law, which also makes me a glutton for punishment. No, no, we live on the west side of Malibu, so we will be going back there today. The power and the gas got turned back on in Malibu West, so I'll be able to go to Pepperdine from
road is not open.
Trancas.
Yeah, the road's not open though.
Well, one to Canaan, I think I can manage.
Okay, all right, we've got the needs and, we've got a recording here, it'll be sent out, and again, thank you for attending, hang in there, I feel like the community is really coming together to provide some of these resources, so, anyway, with that, we're gonna, sign off, and I will see you via email while I send you this recording. Bye now.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.